Hey, it's me, and welcome back to Unfortunate Intersections. Today I want to talk about the single most fascinating aspect of intersections: policy. There is an inherent conflict between state departments of transportation and cities. State DOTs have the goal that they need to move as many cars as fast as possible, while in cities, cars are bad and get exponentially worse the faster they're driven. The problem is that state DOTs usually have the authority to engineer their highways within city limits the way that they see fit. The streets that have the highest crash rate in cities are often the ones controlled by the state DOT, precisely because they're designed like highways. So I got really excited when I heard that McPherson was getting $1 million from KDOT through the C-CLIP program to, and I quote, provide funds to cities to address deficiencies or improve any routing of the state highway system that is located within the corporate limits of a city. I got excited because when I think of deficiencies of the state highway system in McPherson, I think of this. This is the intersection on US 56 between where I'm living now and the closest grocery store. I'm sure many of you saw this coming a mile away, but let me read to you what the state thinks qualifies as, quote, geometric improvements. Examples of projects under this category include, but are not limited to, intersection reconstruction to reduce encroachments over the curb from off-traffic of turning trucks, addition or extension of turn lanes, widening of the roadway to accommodate larger vehicles, or sight distance improvements. Of course, KDOT's ideas of what deficiencies of the state highway system within the corporate limits of a city have nothing to do with speeding cars and insufficient walkability. Their examples are, and I paraphrase, the intersections are too small, there aren't enough lanes, the existing lanes are too narrow, and people can't drive fast enough on them. Dear KDOT, I read your stupid policy and your stupid policy is stupid. Love, Chris. As you may have guessed, that $1 million from the state is not going to this intersection to fix pedestrian problems, because this intersection is apparently sufficiently improved. The money is actually going here, probably to install a stoplight. I admit there are unfortunate aspects to this intersection, mainly that it's a 4-lane, 4-way stop. But this 4-lane, 4-way stop is significantly less unfortunate than the 4-lane, 4-way stop in the pilot episode, because this 4-lane, 4-way stop is not between a humongous regional hospital and that hospital's humongous regional parking lot. This intersection is practically rural. Context matters. Mainly it's inconvenient for drivers who've been able to drive either 20 or 30 miles without having to stop, and now they have to stop and wait maybe a minute for people to navigate the intersection. So let me ask you, of the state highways going through McPherson, is this where you would spend $1 million? How about the almost mile-long, 65-foot wide, 5-lane section of US 56 with no crosswalks, right next to low-income housing? Or the actual mile-long, 65 to 90-foot wide section of US 56 with no crosswalks? Or maybe KDOT could pave and legitimize this sketchy-ass, tick-ridden, probably illegal desire path that people are forced to use instead. So, KDOT, these are the deficiencies in the state highway system in the city of McPherson that I would prefer that you improve. I'm sure you'll get right on it. I just want to jump in here real quick and explain the gap between videos. Long story short, I ignored my mental health for too long. I hit bottom and then had to move back in with my parents in their suburban trailer park homestead in McPherson, Kansas. If you're interested in a long story long, boy do I have good news for you. I started another channel where I talk about dealing with my mental health situation in real time and not after the fact like so many people do, where you get to gloss over everything and just select what you talk about, so there's this nice, beautiful story arc with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Because that's not how mental health works. There's a lot of dead ends, there's a lot of false starts, it's not always pretty. There's a link to that channel in the description. There's also a link to my Twitter where you can find hot takes on cars. Also, I started live tweeting the BZA and Planning Commission's meeting here in this small town. It's pretty interesting, if that's what you're into. There are also links to Instagram where I overshare in the stories, and Facebook where I mainly just forget to post anything at all. But most importantly, there's a link to Patreon. If you would like to help support the channel and help me purchase things such as industrial windproofing so I can film outdoors here in Kansas, then there is a big old link down here. I have a couple of other exciting things coming for this channel that I'm really looking forward to, so you should absolutely subscribe. Also, tell your friends. You should tell your friends. You should just go tell 3 people, go tell them.